Murphy here with this installment of Young Artists Workshops. Today we are going to do a project called Colored Pencil Portraits. And if you received a supply kit from your library, you'll see that we have a little name card that describes the project that we're going to do. And then we have a couple of grids that we're going to design on. They have different size square blocks, so you can choose whichever one you want to use. And then we have a couple of sample sheets that have a little bit of a graphic design that we are going to use in the coloration of these grids as we do our pencil portraits. So I'm also hoping that everyone has colored pencils at home. I know most households do have colored pencils, and this project will work best if you use colored pencils. And finally, we are going to do it in the style of an artist that I really love. His name is Chuck Close. And I have a little bit of information on him. I'll give you a quick rundown on his style and how we're going to have his style inspire us today. So come on over, take a look at Chuck Close and some of his beautiful artwork. Here is a portrait, a self-portrait that Chuck Close made. And it is made on a grid of squares, and he paints these in oils and uses, he thinks of it more like printing instead of painting. So if you ever looked close up at a print of something, you will see that it is actually made of little dot patterns, dots close to each other of various colors, and then as you look at them they form the picture from far away. But if you use like a magnifying glass, you can see all the dots that make the picture, and that's how he paints his paintings. So it makes sense when you look at it like this, but here is a close-up of this picture. And you can see that really close up it kind of makes no sense at all, but if you zoom out it makes perfect sense. So these paintings, he paints very large, the size of a billboard sometimes, or it takes up the entire wall. Now here's a picture of Chuck Close in his studio. He is an artist that is confined to a wheelchair. He has a spinal condition that sometimes he is not able to use his legs or arms. So he works in a studio where instead of him moving the paintings to get to a certain part of the paintings actually move down into the floor. This is his Manhattan studio, and so he doesn't really have to do a lot of maneuvering in order to get to certain parts of the painting. And he has two styles. This is one of his styles, super realistic. These look like photographs. They are not photographs. These are paintings, huge paintings that he has made. And many times it takes him such a long time to complete a painting, sometimes over a year, but it's very detailed. And then this is his other style, the sort of dot, more abstract style. So we are going to use this technique in drawing on our grids. You can probably not even see this grid because I have it printed so lightly, but it is your choice of either like I think this is like a 1-inch square and then a 1/2 inch square. So either one you can use, and let's get started. I am going to start off with the smaller grid. And then we're going to do a portrait. Now, the face that's most available to you at all times is your own. So, a couple of ways we can do this. The most immediate way you could do it is just tape your paper to a hard surface, look at yourself in a mirror, and start sketching. Or you can take a selfie. So here we are with a printed sample of the photo I took. You can also just use the photo you have on your phone instead of printing it out if you don't have a printer. And then we are going to use these images a little bit later to fill up our squares. Let's concentrate on making this image on our grid. So Chuck Close, his images were always large on his canvas. And so that's the same thing we're going to do. We're going to do it as large as possible. And the way I always do it is just start out with like an oval for the head. Very lightly. You probably can't even see what I'm doing right now. And then there's a neck right there. Just a little line. There's the other side of the neck behind the hair, so I'm just going to put that down. And then a collar. And as you can see, I'm just putting very simple lines. The shoulder. And then we just assume the other shoulder beneath the hair. And then looking at this and this head, I can adjust. It seems a little bit too long, so I'm just going to adjust. And that's the nice thing about working so lightly, is that you can keep correcting and keep correcting. Also, I would say if you're going to erase something at this point, don't use the pencil eraser, because sometimes they don't even have an eraser, but use either a kneaded eraser. Artists like to use this quite a bit, very inexpensive at the art store, and you can erase. It's very kind to the paper, and it doesn't leave anything behind, you know, those little eraser shavings. Or use a separate eraser, the pink eraser you probably have seen. These are erasers, little fun erasers. So you can erase with that, but they do leave reminders of the erasings. So back to this, I am just going to place where everything is on the head. And if you look from top of the head to the chin, the eyes are almost in the middle of that area, maybe a little bit up. So I'm just going to draw a line going across, sort of a curved line, to show you where the eyes will be. Then we'll go for the nose. And then for the mouth, we're just placing the mouth right now, and we can figure that out a little bit more later. Bottom lip, and then hair. So this is what I call like a cartoon drawing. We're just doing the outlines of everything. So here we go. And then on this side, it extends a little bit beyond the face. This hair goes behind the shoulder. And then sort of like a little part here, and it goes sort of into the eyes. Probably due for a haircut. And on the side of the face. Okay, so now I'm going to just look at the outline of the face, and you're going to start refining at this point. So here we go. This goes down. And let's draw the eyes. So basically we just want simple eyebrows, simple outline of the eyelids, and the iris and pupil. So go here. And we're not trying to make a perfect, recognizable portrait of a person at this point. The biggest thing we're going to do with this project is discover Chuck Close's way of painting. And it's a very interesting way, which is why I picked this artist. So there we go with one eye, and you just follow this previous line that we drew, and we're going to do, let's see, nose is going to be here. A lot of times I just look at the iris and I'll place one iris and then I'll place the other iris, and that gives me a little bit more idea on how to draw the eye. So you're always looking at your reference material. And I like to draw the outline of the eye, and then the eyelid a little bit, and then eyebrow. And once again, we are just making a basic outline of the eyebrow. Now, if yours doesn't look exactly like that, it doesn't matter, as I said. We are just doing a face for purposes of doing a technique on top of it. I just like to draw the bottom of the nose, leave all this blank, because if we were doing a painting or a charcoal drawing, we would be doing this differently, but we're not. So, and I'm just not even going to be too concerned about the teeth right now. I'm just going to do like the bottom lip. Or top lip. The bottom of the top lip is what I just did. And then draw the top of it. And then bottom lip. Okay, now look at it. See if you like it, see if you want to adjust things at all. To me, I see this is a little crooked. The chin looks a little crooked. So I'm going to sort of realign it. That looks better. My magic eraser. The hair is a little, okay, not too much more. And then I am going to take a marker and just outline these eyes. Not eyes, but main parts of it. So it looks like a cartoon drawing. Okay? So I think I'll start with the eyes first. You may have already received a marker from previous, if you joined any of the previous workshops, we were giving markers away for a while, or you can use a black colored pencil or a black pen if you want to do this. So just outlining here. Alright, now we have our completed inked sketch, and if you look at the name card that came with the kit, you can see that there's different colors used for the background, for the hair, for the face, and for the clothes. And that's what we are going to do also. So I am going to start with the background, and I did decide it was going to be sort of green, purple, and orange. And so I pulled all of my green, purples, and orange pencils, colored pencils out. By the way, these are called Hoo pencils, H-U-H-U. They're not very expensive, but I love how they lay on paper. They're not shiny, but you can use whichever colored pencils you have. So I chose, out of all those three that I'm going to use, a purple, a sort of a forest green, and muted orange. And what we are going to do is just in the background only, square by square, we are going to put a design in it. And it could be just a very simple design. For instance, you can have an X, or you can take one of these and divide, put a triangle in there somehow. Well, I think that's going to actually become a square. And just go one right after another and put, I think for this one it's going to be 2 circles. And we're going to go through this whole thing, including over the face, just full of dividing these into just sort of geographic shapes. You can put in there very simply, just 2 lines divides it into 3 spaces. And whatever you feel like putting in, you can put in. You can put I think I'm going to put a star in this one. And like I say, you go into the face also. Here's another helpful hint. If there's a design that you like, feel free to repeat it in several places throughout this portrait, and we can fill up this area a lot faster that way. Okay, so I'm done putting in all of the little graphic elements in each of the squares. I'll bring this a little closer so you can hopefully see it better. That was kind of fun to do. It took about 20 minutes to put them all in. So Now remember my 3 colors that I chose, and you can choose any 3 colors. We're going to use them. We're going to just start with the background. And so everything that is not the figure is going to receive these 3 colors. And you can use 2 colors within a square, or you can use 3. And you know, this is when you really just have to take your time and color it as best as you can. And, you know, it's all in technique. So I know there's people that just love the scribbly technique, and if that's what you like to do, that's fine. I personally like to fill in with like deeper, richer color. And so you'll see me, you know, just keep coloring until it's a nice deep color, and try not to let any white paper show through. Now this one I just used 2 colors, but if you remember I said I chose 3, so there might be some, you can hop around too, there might be some that you would use 3 in. The only thing I'd say is, let me do this one because I can use 3 here, but I am not going to go into the figure. So you see I'm stopping at the black line, and then put a little green here, and the rest will be purple. So the whole thing, the whole background will receive just these 3 colors. So once again, I am going to come back when it is completely finished. Okay, just coming back to say that I did change my colors. Instead of a lighter brown and a darker brown, I went with a lighter brown and a black. And the reason I do that is because you look at the photo and there's parts that are almost black, and it works better if I can use a pure black in order to show that. Now the other thing that I want to give a little hint on is, you see here, and you're always referring back to the photo, how this is like highlighted here. And so I used this gold color, and I think I'm going to just leave these white. So in effect that's going to be a 5th color, these 4 plus white. So the last thing I wanted to mention though is, by the time you're finished with this, it'll probably take you a couple hours at least, so don't feel you have to do it all in one sitting. And I double task with this, so a lot of times will have music in the background, or I'll have the TV playing in the background while I'm working with this, and it's just very relaxing. It's almost like doing a puzzle. So I'll come back when the hair is all filled in, and we'll see where we can go from there. Okay, and the hair is all done. I really like the way it looks with leaving a lot of white in it. It brings a lot of sparkle to it, and the reason that it's working so well also, as far as the whole picture goes, is because this is sort of a warmer family of colors, and this is sort of like a hot family of colors, and 2 completely different hues. So it separates it. So now what I'm going to do is do the shirt or sweater, and I'm just using 3 different blues to do it, because I want it to be more of almost a flat look instead of all these little designs. It'll still have designs, but it'll be done with completely blue colored pencils. So be back in a few. And here we are with the sweater finished. I forgot to mention last time that the eyebrows should be the same as the hair, same color combinations. So now we're going to go on with the face, and I picked some colors, some light oranges, some browns and grays. I'm not too sure which ones I'll use, but we will follow the photograph as far as lights and darks, and I'll probably come in at midpoint somewhere and maybe do some coloring live. In this project, it doesn't even matter what colors you use. The tone matters more. So as you can see, this is sort of bright and deep. This is all sort of muted browns. And then these colors, yellow, pink, gray, are of all the same tone. So there's nothing super dark in the face. It's all sort of a medium to light tone. So I am just paying attention and, mostly still looking at my photograph and just putting like more pinks in the cheek areas. Because usually cheeks are, have a little bit more color. They're a little bit more flush. And, okay, the face is done. And now we're going to do the eyes and the mouth. At this point, I think if we continued patterns in there, it would just be not confusing, but it would, what we want are the eyes and the mouth to really be pronounced. So we are not going to do the treatment for that. We're going to sort of treat them like regular eyes and mouth. And so one thing I think I will do is, the eyelid has volume to it. So if a light's shining down on a person's face, there is always a little shadow in the whites of the eyes. So this is just a little gray pencil, and I am putting just a little shadow up there on both eyes. And then I am going to take my blue pencil, wherever that may be. I think I put it away. So let me go on and do the lips. So let's make sure, yeah. And I'm just going to put a flat color on the lips. And then, let's see, oh, here is my blue pencil. For the the eyes, actually I have my Sharpie here, so the iris of the eyes, I am just going to make black with that. And if you see, I didn't make an actual circle of black. It has like a little notch out of it. That's because I'm going to put a little highlight in there just by drawing around it. And then I am going to color the eye blue using the same blue I used in the sweater. One, two. I got a black pencil because I wanted to also make a shadow, the eyelid shadow over the blue. So just adding some black on here. And then the last thing I noticed is some of these lines go off the square, so it's kind of interrupting this little white frame we have of it, and I could just leave it, or what I could do is continue these patterns somehow. And what I think I'm going to do is just continue these lines down and color them in just as square blocks of color, probably more like a little checkerboard type of thing. Okay, here's the final illustration in the Chuck Close style. I ended up taking the white areas of the top of the hair out. I colored them a little bit of a lemon yellow color because they were too distracting. Once all the color was into the artwork, those bright white areas distracted from it rather than added from it. So I knocked them down with a little color. Anyway, hope you had fun with this one. And if you enjoyed the Chuck Close colored pencil portraits, remember you have another grid in your packet. You can either do another one or give it to a family member. Well, I hope you enjoyed that workshop and join me for another Young Artists Family Workshop in the future. This is Terry Murphy signing off, and remember, stay creative. Bye-bye.